Slaptail Squad, assemble.
All right. Yeah, I am the Beaveman, and this is the Slaptail Squad. For all of you out there in Slaptail Nation, thanks for joining us. I hope you had a great Labor Day. Hope you got to roll it, slide it around, slap it, oil it. I don't know.
Rub it down.
Rub it down, underground, take it to the top, and rule the town. I don't know. That's my attempt at the rap, as the young folks say. With me, as always, is my number one.
Hey.
Oh, you're fucking it up already, Ron's phasing.
No. I thought you were going to say the Ron, and I was going to go with the A. I didn't want to overshoot.
We talked about this last time. Do we
I know we did.
Say your name?
Oh, I
And
do.
starting up again. 5. No, just kidding. Also, I've got the Swan. Say hello, Swan.
Hello,
You
Swan.
introduced her.
Thank
You're the number one. I don't
Everybody knows who you are. You are
So-
the number one. Everybody.
So are
knows-
you saying I need no introduction?
That is what I'm saying. You are number one.
Okay.
Couldn't even be happy with when I called you number 2, like a reference to Austin Powers. You had to be number 1,
I did.
reference to Star Trek: The Next Generation. I think that's what that's from.
I think so too.
I'm sure you know. Also with us is the always ever stylish and fashionable, eloquent of speech, who brings some sort of intelligence to the Slaptail Squad. That is, of course, a collection of morons with moronic opinions and idiotic ideas. It is Tremonde. How are you, Tremonde?
I'm good. How about you guys?
We are very well. I'm answering for myself, actually. When I say we, it's
It's yourself and yourself.
me and all my other personalities.
Do you think you have like multiple personalities, Beatman?
Not true personalities, personas, sure. Yeah. You know, I also noticed that when I was downloading the last podcast and editing it, I was also looking at the because we're doing this as a video, I extract the audio from it to do it as an upload for the podcast, and my eyes dart back and forth like a crazy person when I'm doing the podcast. I thought that was very bizarre, so I watched it for like 1 minute and I said, I don't need to watch it anymore. I am already ugly on camera, but my eyes darting back and forth, that was pretty bizarre.
Crazy eyes.
Crazy eyes on the camera.
Yeah, it's Tremonde, to answer that question, as a parent, you have to have multiple personalities. You really do. You have to be the good guy, the bad guy, the crazy dad, or the crazy mom, right? You have to be the compassionate and caring. Sort of like when the little Tremonde person that you had was up, and I didn't see you lose your cool, but you were like, oh, you need to go to bed, right? And then the B-man saying, you need to fucking put her in bed now. So, I mean, you have to have multiple personalities as a dad or a parent, I should say.
Are you trying to give him advice because you assume as a gay man he needs advice from you on how to parent?
No, I was just answering
He
his
just wants to be the
question.
daddy. He wants to be the daddy.
No, I do believe you have to have multiple personalities to be a parent these days. No question or rebuff on that?
I didn't buff you in the first place, so I'm definitely not gonna rebuff you.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to update everybody on the duck penis.
Oh Lord, let that
Tremonde
go.
doesn't know about the dog penis.
You gotta
So
listen to the last
Tremonde,
podcast.
I'm sure you haven't had a chance to listen to the last podcast, and I was talking about there was some confusion, and I was explaining that male ducks have penises, and I was also explaining to them that I did not realize, because I assumed that all birds of the bird variety of the avian family, if you will, all had cloaca. And my 2 geniuses who were doing the podcast with me acted like it was a bizarre thought process because they didn't think about it one way or the other. And
No, Ron thought it was normal conversation.
well, that was odd too.
No, I wanted to know why this was a topic.
It wasn't it's not a topic per se. I'm just saying that
This is subject.
that
brought
ducks
up.
have penises. Tremonde, did you know that ducks have penises?
I did know that.
That's amazing. See, Tremonde is on top of things. Tremonde, did you also know that the male goose has a penis as well?
Yes.
How do you know these things?
Yeah, that would have been my question.
It's not common knowledge, so don't even say, oh, it's just common knowledge.
No, it's not coming out. It was just like something that like I wondered about one day, just like how do animals reproduce? And so I just like looked up and saw, looked up different animals just to see
Animal
what
porn?
their
You,
not,
so you went
not
on.
animal porn. That's a little gross to me.
Yeah, that's not what he's talking about.
No.
I'm just kidding.
But wondering how animals, mate.
So you like looked up random animals and came up with ducks and geese have penis.
Yes, like ones that I have not been able to see have sexual intercourse.
So why did that pique your curiosity?
I think I'm pretty sure he just explained that. Anyway, for my update,
No, it's one of those things. Why? What led you down that path? To
Ron,
think about it?
why would you even question that for a second? Have you not ever wondered just bizarre things about science in general?
Science in general, yes.
Okay, well, that's one of those things. The whole
sex
the
is
chicken
science.
before the egg, or the chicken. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer to that question, you know the answer to that question, right? Does everybody know the answer to that question?
It would have to be the species, so it would be the chicken.
Swan.
I don't. Roosters don't lay eggs.
Well, I don't know what
I
that's
like
the
that.
chicken, but
Is that
that is
true?
actually true. That is true that they do not. But the question was, what came
No.
first, the chicken or the egg? Tremonde, what is you're an intelligent man. Answer that
I
question.
can't even do it right now.
Well, I was wondering if there was foreplay involved, because
I don't know what the fuck that has to do with anything. Answer the question. Tremonde, what is your? We've already
you'll
got.
make the connection one day.
Ron says the chicken. Swan gave a stupid answer. What is your answer? Apparently she doesn't have one. Tremonde, what's your answer to that question?
I thought the show The Egghead came first.
What? The show? What show? What?
Shell.
The shell.
It depends on what's. I mean, Noah
It's a
probably didn't take
theoretical-
fucking eggs on the
Yes,
ark.
yes, it's a theoretical question. It's one of those weird. I probably has its lineage, if you will, or its formation in either the argument about evolution and versus religion. I think is probably where that question comes from. But you can answer that question correctly. Do you know how to answer that question correctly?
Apparently, none of us do. So why don't you explain it?
The answer is the egg.
Why?
Because reptiles were on the planet before mammals. So the egg came before the chicken. The question doesn't ask what came first, the chicken egg or the chicken. The question asks what came first, the chicken or the egg. The egg came first. So everybody.
Before it was turned into a chicken.
No, motherfucker, that's not what I'm saying. Oh my God. Does no one understand what I'm saying?
You feel so
Yes,
alone
God.
out there, man, that no one gets you. Do you?
The question is not a specific question. The question is an asshole question in the first place because it's clearly formulated by religion. It's saying from an evolution, we all told that God created, he didn't create an egg, he created a chicken. Well, if somebody asks you that question, you can honestly say,
Well, what if the Earth was an
Shut the
egg?
fuck up, Ron. You can honestly say the egg came first because we know scientifically that mammals came after reptiles and reptiles laid eggs. There you go. The egg came first, way before the chicken did.
Yeah, but what if the Earth was an egg because God created the Earth first, right? Well, actually, he created the heavens, yeah, and the Earth. So the Earth was the egg. Then he created birds. So in essence, in a religious aspect, you're right. So there you go. I agree.
Wow, Ron's cleared it up.
I was wondering where we were going with that.
Oh my God. So
Anyway.
So ducks have penises. Back to that.
back to penises, and the goose has a penis that's so fucking long it's fucking frightening. Is there a way for me to share my screen with you guys to see how long a duck penis is? Oh my God, not the duck, the goose. Just fucking frightening.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Share
If we're
screen,
using
it's at the
Skype,
bottom.
of course.
Okay,
Yeah,
share screen at the bottom. Let me see if I can share my screen so you guys can see. Here's my share
It's
screen.
disgusting and disturbing.
Here we go. Start sharing.
I mean, duck or goose penis. Look at that.
That first one is not, but
Why
here
are
we
we
go.
on
Scroll on
Pornhub?
down.
We're looking at
If
animal
if
genitalia.
that's your Pornhub runs, you need to freaking get some different search terms.
That is the duck penis. How gross is that? They can like,
Ugh.
or not duck, goose.
Duck,
Penis.
duck, goose.
Yeah,
They're the
duck,
Ron
duck,
Jeremy of the animal
Detachable
kingdom.
penises. What the heck?
Oh, here's the really fun one. So the reason why I was really kind of checking this out is because I started to wonder about the platypus. And does the platypus have a penis? Yes, he does. Because, egg-laying mammal. Right?
Yes.
Right. Which, if you guys want to check this out, you can go to IFL Science, which of course stands for I fucking love science. And you can search strangest genitals in the animal kingdom because, hey, why not? And there's some fucking frightening things there. But the most frightening thing for me was the echidna penis, which is also a mammal that lays eggs. And the echidna penis has
That's disgusting.
4 heads.
That's nasty.
Wow.
So it'll just be shooting everywhere.
Well,
I guess so.
apparently only one is active at a time. And what I really thought was funny on these images is that if you scroll down, there's parts where at some point somebody decided they were going to put like a blurry spot over the penis so that people wouldn't be offended. I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. It's an animal penis, guys. You don't really have to really don't have to blur it out. But if you want to, go ahead.
Here's a question that kind of spirals out. Thought, why do they blur human female boobs, but they won't blur overweight men boobs?
Oh, they do on My 600-Pound Life, thankfully.
Yes.
Oh, they do. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But
If
that
you watch
little-
My 600-Pound Life, you always wonder if they always, for some reason, they always want to do a scene with them climbing into the shower, but they really haven't been in the shower for weeks. I'm like, they don't shower every day. Don't fucking lie.
They don't even fit through the door. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of why they put it on there, to see the struggles that they have for everyday tasks like showering or getting in the bathroom. And it gives you a perspective when you can look at the toilet size versus their size. Like,
Oh, that's just a thought I don't want to see.
well, now
And-
you can't unsee it.
And by the way, also, if you, I did finally get an answer back from a pathologist veterinarian about the whole rooster penis, chicken penis, et cetera, because I asked why is it that, why is it that ducks have penises and some other birds don't? For example, the rooster does not have a penis. And if you want to see that, if you want to figure that all out, a really good article was on, let me just pull it up for you guys really quick here. He actually sent me the link to an article that I had already looked at. So go ahead, talk amongst yourselves, and I pull this up for you because it's really interesting.
Oh,
His
don't.
fascination with this has just really gone wild.
You
It
know
really
you're
has.
interested now. This is
No.
science.
I love science. I love astronomy
Science.
and
You like
physics
technology.
and tech. I do. I also love astrophysics. I love all the science. I could sit
And
The
there.
only,
And
reason,
marketing.
the only reason he looked up astrophysics because he thought it was actually a different reason. He thought it was the science of something else.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. But I love lectures, TED Talks. I could listen to these guys all day.
So here's
Because
what's
They're
fascinating
interesting.
about
So
the
let's go
rooster.
back to what's fascinating.
Can you guys see this on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is really sad. There's the goose penis.
Isn't that disgusting?
That is disgusting. Okay, I don't really want to.
Oh wow, that's
Here's what's interesting is that in not saying this is an evolutionary standpoint, I don't know why it would be because they don't know. But if you suppress this gene, the BMP4 gene, if you suppress it in the rooster, they will actually grow a penis. So this gene gets expressed in the rooster, and therefore because they're starting to grow a penis, but once this gene is expressed, then they no longer have a penis. And how do they know that's possible? Because they actually were able to not suppress the gene in their study subjects, the roosters, and they were able to make or grow penises. And you might be asking yourself this question, which was the big question that I had for myself was, Why do we need to be paying researchers to figure this out in the first place?
Yeah. Why are we
I
growing
don't
rooster
know.
penis?
How did they get the research grant for this, and what was their reasoning for having a research grant for this in the first place? I have an answer to that. I would like to know what everybody else thinks about why this was necessary for them to look it up in the first place. Why was it necessary for them to research it and or have a proposal to have this research grant? What do you think, Ron? Because you're a genius.
Well, thank you, and I wholeheartedly accept your award on that. I would think because of current conditions of cross species passing on diseases. So researching the whatever subject to see if that disease, if there could be a cure for it in humans.
Oh,
That's all I got right there. I think that's the only.
I mean, we are specifically talking about their research on figuring out why these birds don't grow penises, and you think that has to do with disease. Okay, good.
No,
theory.
no.
So
You said, why do they study this stuff? And I'm like,
no.
okay.
I didn't ask why they do research in general. I asked this subject, ding dong. I thought that was pretty fucking clear.
But it's also probably to study genetics of the bird. That's where I'm going with this. I don't know. Right? You asked me to come up with an answer. I came up with an answer.
That's fine. That's fine. At first, it seemed like you were answering. Well, I was asking a question about why they do research in general, but no, I asked specifically about this subject. Tremonde, what do you say? You're a genius.
I agree with some of what Ron said as far as just wanting to just study the bird, and I think that just kind of lends itself to other things. And studying the bird, I mean, that's part of them becoming, to exist, through the penis. So why not study it?
Is there another way to exist without the penis?
I exist pretty fine, and I don't have a penis.
But do you?
Nope, I don't.
Well, you have someone who, has one.
Has one?
Has a penis. So Swan, what do you say? What say you? Why would you think that they need to research this?
Well, I'm gonna go with the rooster. The male rooster is called a cock. So why could he? How can he be a cock without a cock?
That makes more sense than what the other two said.
Yeah, no one likes a scientific answer.
She's the genius of the.
I don't really think your answer was scientific at all. I think you were just in general saying the research itself was.
I don't know, but
why don't they have an external penis?
They use
how do they get funding? How do you get funding for that?
I don't know. They use the rooster's. What was it called? Crow or whatever the top thing is called for.
Comb. Yeah.
Comb. Rooster comb. Yeah. For
sure.
Knee injections. So maybe we use the rooster as part of stuff. So we're gonna do more experiments on it.
Here's my theory.
All right, let's hear your theory because it's probably the best one.
My theory is that the research scientists are all men, and they wanted to know how to grow larger penises. And they masked their interest in that by saying, oh, well, it's for research purposes for other reasons. But I think really they just wanted to know if there's some way that they could grow a bigger penis.
But why didn't they just study other species with larger penises then?
Because if you can figure out that there's a gene that makes your penis grow, when you have an animal that doesn't have a penis, and you can research and find and isolate this gene, then wouldn't it make sense that you could stimulate a gene or find a way to stimulate a gene in us?
Yeah, that sounds better than studying one that already has a large penis that tried to figure out how to make yours look like theirs. So that sounds reasonable.
That's an intelligent response, Beaveman.
It just never occurred to me. It never occurred to me.
Well, it never occurred to you because you weren't interested in it in the first place, which is fine. You don't have to be interested in a bunch of.
Maybe he already has a large penis and he doesn't need to grow it. Look at Ron's. I just gave you a hype there.
Yeah, I know, and I appreciate it. And I'm not going to brag.
I would definitely recommend that everybody checks out this IFL Science. There was another one that I can't remember where I read it that was really bizarre. Is that the hyena has such a high testosterone level, and I don't know if this is true or not. I read it somewhere, or I might have watched it on YouTube. Has such a high testosterone level that the clitoris of the female hyena gets so large that it makes mating a little bit difficult between the male and female hyena,
Really?
as you can imagine. You gotta move that clitoris a while away, or I don't know, whatever you gotta do.
I don't know, but can we like just shrink the penis images so that we don't have to see them
I will
anymore?
actually get rid of the strangest genitals.
Good
from
idea.
How about that?
Wow.
How about that? I'll just get
It's
rid of
kind
that
of
because-
making me grossed out.
Yes,
there,
it is
though.
disturbing, and yeah, let's move on. I wanted to continue our conversation because Tremonde was not part of it, the last one, and I just wanted to say that Tremonde, on the last podcast, I attempted to let these two morons, members of the
Oh yeah,
squad,
now we're morons.
explain the Dunning-Kruger effect and give examples of it. Do you know the Dunning-Kruger effect, Tremonde?
I did not. I recently got introduced to it today, so I've been like looking up.
Well,
And-
thank God. Maybe you'll be able to help us out so that he doesn't just berate us again, because
Amen.
we're trying to not. I mean, I don't even know what we were trying to do, but we were waiting for him to chime in and he wasn't. So that's a little awkward. Usually he goes off on a rant and we don't even need to say anything because he's so ranty.
So in other words, they weren't prepared and they wanted me to take the reins, which is
No,
totally
we were prepared.
all I
You
was
just didn't
saying
like
was,
the
you
answers
know-
we were given.
because you guys never really gave an example.
I
And
gave
it's
an
right.
example.
The great thing
Well,
is,
I tried
great
to
thing
lead up to an answer, and you didn't like me leading up to an answer.
Anyway.
You just want to cut and dry, go
Tremonde,
right for it.
did you have an example of the Dunning-Kruger effect? Or can you just tell us as you understand it what that exactly means?
I can, and I think I have some examples. I'm interested in hearing what was the other.
Oh, they didn't give good ones. Go ahead.
Go fuck yourself.
They gave them, but they didn't expand on them or actually discuss the
Because you
ones
cut
that
us down. You
Okay,
cut us
Swan.
right off.
Swan, what was yours?
No, go. Let me hear yours first. I want to see if you get berated like we did before we revisit ours. So let's hear about yours.
What's your understanding of what the Dunning-Kruger effect actually is? Just very, very simply.
So someone who perceives themselves to be smarter than what they actually are.
That's pretty good.
Generically. So basically, smarter than what they actually are on, let's just say, a specific topic. Smarter than what they are on a specific topic, smarter than people who are experts, and their limited knowledge of it might even just be something as simple as reading a 500-word snippet on something and deciding that they know more about it than the experts do.
Correct.
Okay. Tremonde understands. Of course he does.
Because
He's
he's brilliant,
Well,
eloquent, well
what
spoken.
would be your example of that, Tremonde? Keep in mind, I have to edit out long pauses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you gotta edit that out.
You have to say that makes you sound very intelligent. I just rated you up there and said you were well spoken and intelligent, and you said
And I never say
uh-huh.
You just did.
We'll pretend like we didn't hear that. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Start over.
So there is a person that comes to mind. I can
Okay,
tell
let's
you,
hear it.
and I know that we try to stay away from politics, but someone who doesn't have the knowledge to be in the position that they are in as someone who is sitting, at a high status in this country. Another example would be, so I had a kid who thought that if like they put something on them, and I can't remember what it is that they use, that if they took a picture, that they would become invisible.
The lemon juice thing.
Okay, so
Yeah, there was a famous criminal that tried that.
Which is actually what spurned the Dunning-Kruger effect theory.
Yeah, exactly.
and then I believe like this person like attempted to like commit some type of crime,
A bank robbery, in fact.
and then was shot when it was revealed that there was footage of them and they could see themselves just as everyone else could.
Because everybody knows it was lime juice, not lemon.
Anyway,
Retarded runs.
so do you have any like real life examples? Obviously we know who you're talking about politically.
Yes.
And it's not just politically. He also professes to be a amazing businessman, better than everybody else. But there's plenty of documented proof that he is not an amazing businessman.
And an NBA star, apparently.
Right, that he could beat, was it LeBron
LeBron.
in a dunking contest if it wasn't for the spurs, which I'm assuming he meant the bone spurs in his feet. I don't think he meant the Spurs, the NBA team.
The rest of the team.
Right. So do you have an example, Tremonde, of anything in particular in that regard?
Let me think about it.
Okay, well, you think about it. While Tremonde thinks about that, I would like to say that, yes, I look crazy on camera. I'm not really happy about that, but hey, whatever. I would also like to say that the other topic we were going to kind of talk about, it kind of goes in line with it just a little bit, but we were kind of talking about how people like to brag a lot about the accomplishments of others as if it's their own accomplishment. I'll give you an example. I was, of course, when I was in the Army, I can remember this particular guy who used to brag all the time that his father was a Navy SEAL, but he himself was in pretty pathetic shape and really not a very good soldier, but spoke all the time about his father being a SEAL as if that was his accomplishment. Because we all know that the actions of others dictate how awesome we are. Long pause. No one understands what I'm talking about.
No, I do.
You do?
Yeah. Are you saying that the accomplishments of others are basically bragging? We share those accomplishments?
Yeah, or like if you run into, or you'll run into people frequently that's out in the world who are like, my husband's a doctor, so I know everything. You're like, you do know that the fact that your husband's a doctor doesn't mean that you know anything about medicine. But you do say that a lot. Actually, I worked with a lady who told everybody how her boyfriend was this brilliant chiropractor, and because of that, she seemed to think that she knew everything about bones, muscles, nutrition, whatever, when, I mean, he didn't either, but she seemed to think that that made her some sort of genius when she wasn't. You guys don't run into that at all?
Yeah, I feel like that's
Yeah.
somebody who likes to ride on the coattail of someone else. And it makes me question, what have they achieved for themselves? And in times it's things that like they haven't achieved very much. So then they use others to make themselves sound, just as you were saying, of some type of importance.
Right. I actually worked at a place also where they had just hired someone not that long after they hired me. And where I was working, they wanted the staff to refer to me as Dr. Beaveman. Obviously, not my last name, Beaveman, but that's how they wanted to refer. They wanted them to refer to me in that manner, which I couldn't really fucking care less because Michigan's got a problem with a bone up their ass about calling nurse practitioners doctor, even if we have a doctorate. And we all know that's just a degree. It's not a title that decides what you are. It's an educational degree, much like you could call your professor doctor or your doctors of theology. I've seen a lot of religious folks who go by doctor.
Okay.
Anyway, so they said that, and this new staff member said to the boss, why should I refer to him as doctor? My husband's a doctor. He's not a doctor. He's not a real doctor.
Oh.
Which I found amusing when they told me. Subsequently, she was fired, but I just found that amusing.
I'm interested. Why was she fired?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Probably
Because
because she's an incompetent
she didn't last long.
fucktard.
She didn't last long. She was only there she was there like less than a week. Probably decided that, first of all, she had no education. In other words, what she was qualified to do was basically to answer phones and greet people at the desk. So again, probably didn't like the position she was in because obviously if you're a doctor's wife, you should have a position that has nothing to do with your what you're qualified to do. You should have something far beyond your qualifications and your education because you're a doctor's wife. Well, my husband's a doctor, so I should be able to do whatever highest paying job you have that requires the highest education. Yeah, she didn't last long. Probably because of that reason would be my guess.
Did you find that to be disrespectful?
That they disrespectful in what way? You mean to me?
Correct.
Nah, I didn't give a shit. Who cares?
Yeah, but you and I, Beaveman, have seen this in the military too, where the kids, and it's more prevalent with the kids because it's more of a clique thing, and the wives, in fact, where their, or I should say spouse, where their military spouses rank on their mouth. My spouse is a pilot, so, and a captain or whatever, so I have the same rank and privileges as they do.
That is true. You do see that.
No, you don't. Right. And it's a hard reality for some of these people. In fact, I've seen it in outside the military from an ex-military wife as well, is that you don't have the same privileges as they do, and honestly, I always thought that was just one of those things like, oh, that's just so wrong. However, they have to maintain that. They have to maintain that status quo on the flip side to make sure that their spouse, their military spouse, does not get into trouble either. So that was one of the things that always got me, the paradox of it.
Wow, you look confused, Juan.
No.
Are you confused?
No, I'm not confused.
I can't tell if Tremonti's confused, contemplative, or if he's constipated.
Whoa, watch it with the big words there, bud. Watch it with the big words. We're not all as smart as you.
Deep thought.
Yes, you are
Tremonti
smarter
is
than me.
deep
You got a
thought.
higher score on your test for the military. Remember, you are so much
I
smarter than I
did
am.
not want. I wasn't.
He
gonna
did
bring
say that.
up.
Did he not say that? I can
He did.
distinctly
He did.
remember him telling me that.
I did, but I wasn't going to bring that up ever. I
So
let it
is it,
die. Go ahead.
so is it that these people want this recognition? Speaking of like one spouse, is it because like they may have been on that journey with their spouse who may have served in the
No,
military?
no. Ron's is totally correct. It could be somebody that they just married. They think that they're like, my husband's a captain, so you have to treat me this way because
Yeah.
I'm a captain also. So they'll treat people like shit that they come in contact with that are in either that person's unit or even outside of their unit because their husband's a captain or they're a commander or whatever. Like, well, you're like, okay, that's nice, but military people in general treat civilians differently than they treat each other anyway. I mean, there's a very high level of respect that the military shows to civilians. Everybody's ma'am, everybody's sir, et cetera, et cetera. You get the same. It doesn't matter if your husband is a general. I'm going to treat you just as well as I would if your husband's a private. It doesn't matter. All civilians get treated very, very respectfully. But they do that. They like to treat military people as if they have the rank afforded to them that their spouse has or the status that they have. Like Ron said, I mean, being a pilot's a pretty big deal. You can be you can be a lieutenant and be a pilot, right? I think. And that's a big deal. That's a major accomplishment if you're a fighter jet pilot or a Black Hawk pilot or whatever. It's a major accomplishment, but that doesn't it doesn't matter if you're the spouse of that person. Who gives a fuck? You're still a spouse and you've got your own life, your own identity.
Right.
You shouldn't be living off the identity of somebody else. Nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
And
I get
don't get me wrong. Before we continue, that family, spouses, there's a lot of love for them. There's a lot of support. There really is. Right. So we're not dissing on those who actually support the troops. The moral support.
Is that anything that we said? Is that anything that we said?
No, but somewhere out
you
there,
feel like
someone's
you
gonna-
have to say that. You feel like you have to
because
say
out
that?
there, someone's going to say something against it. Right. They're not going to hear your explanation. It's
I don't think
going
so,
back to
because
what we
it's an idiot
said.
podcast is for comedy, so I don't think that's
Yeah,
going to happen.
it's an idiot podcast, but they're not going to hear that. They hear what they want to hear.
But then they
Oh.
don't have to
They don't
fucking
have to
listen.
fucking
And
listen,
then they
yeah.
can go fuck themselves.
There you go.
Fuck yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's how it's done, Rons. Have you not figured it out yet? Stop being all. And
Turn it off.
we also want to say that everybody out there, thanks for trying. You're all winners in Ron's book.
You can have a medal too.
You get a medal too, and you get a medal too, and you get a medal, You get 2 medals. Hey, you didn't lose your buttons on the camouflage net. I'm going to give you the Medal of Honor. Nice job.
You showed up for the
Oh.
run. You didn't run it, but you can have the medal, just like that Boston qualifier. Everybody
Jeez.
gets a medal. If you sign up for that virtual 5K, you can get the medal before you even run it. The T-shirt too.
Why do you want to hoard all that shit? Anyway, Tremonti, come on. You look like you wanted to say something. Say something, for God's sake. Fucking say something.
Yeah,
Get
bail me
mean,
out here,
Tremonti. Get mean.
Get mean.
I don't know how to get mean.
Well, we can bring the anger out of Ron. We can show his mean parts. So we're gonna work on getting Tremonti's meanness out.
Yeah, let's do that.
Honestly, since I've been doing the podcast with Tremonti, I don't think he's ever said anything mean. It's all been supportive.
Try
A
it,
few
Tremonti.
jabs
It's
here or
fun.
there, but he is just doing that. I surmise when his
Ooh,
little one
surmise.
gets I surmise when his little one gets to the teenage years and something goes wrong, that's when we'll see the true parental anger come out.
Well, then let's
I
hear from the Swan then, because this was her idea, yet I don't hear her saying anything. So please go ahead, Swan.
My
You
idea
got
of
it.
what?
This was your idea. You're like, people who brag, let's talk about that. And then we were talking about it at the end of the podcast, and you're like, no, stop, save it, save it, save it. You were the one who wanted to say something, so go ahead. We're waiting.
Ugh. Why?
Yeah, see, the whole podcast isn't just supposed to be me talking with you guys commenting and me
That's
yelling
what
at you. It's
makes
actually
it
supposed to be you to
fun.
say
Actually, I try, but you shut
Shut
me
up,
down
Ron.
half the time.
Swan's
See,
turn.
there we go.
Ugh, Swans is not doing good today. Swans needs
Oh.
more coffee.
What's wrong?
this was your idea. You kept saying many examples. Go ahead.
I don't remember
Stop
my
fucking choking
examples
and do
now.
it. You can't just sit there and listen and occasionally say a word.
I can sit here and look cute. No one can even see it, but
You
I
look
am
fucking
skinny.
bald right now. You look like you're getting chemotherapy. So I don't know how you're thinking you're looking cute.
Wow. Wow.
Harsh. That's harsh.
Yeah, that is harsh.
I mean, don't go out of your way to look good on the podcast. Good thing this isn't being podcast. It should be like seen by anybody.
So I have
that's
a
what wanna
comment
do.
to this part of our conversation as it pertains to people wanting to take the recognition of someone else after you've done nothing to achieve it.
Ron's
Personal
sitting right here.
example. So I'm from Flint. I'm from Flint, and Mark Ingram got the Heisman Trophy some years back. He and I attended the same church, and once he signed with I believe it was the Saints, me in particular was like starting to like going out and like boasting about me knowing Mark Ingram. And as you all know, I don't even fucking watch sports.
He said fuck.
But yeah,
Whoa!
Yes.
there we
Go,
go.
Tremonti.
Come on, let's get that
So
anger going.
you were guilty of bragging.
Yes, and I'm like, Tremonti, you had nothing to do with him achieving what it is that he achieved. So why are you?
Well, first of all, he probably heard you sing in the choir, so you probably inspired him that way. I'm gonna go there. I
Yeah.
heard you. Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow,
think.
risky. Way to take a risk, Rons.
Yeah, why not? Right. I think Tremonti's a great singer. I've heard.
Will you shut up and let him finish talking about what he was talking about?
All right. You wanted to hear more from me, but no. Go ahead.
No, I actually did not say that. I was talking to Swan. But go ahead, Tremonti. You were saying that yes, you don't watch sports. So why were you bragging up somebody who was a member of your congregation when he got signed to the Saints?
Right. And it was more so just like I wanted some attention to be on me.
Which is pretty normal. But yeah, I don't think anybody was sitting there saying, "Hey, yeah, he probably made it because of you, Tremonti." I mean, probably. I mean, I doubt that anybody was saying that. But that's a pretty common human response. It's not like you were were you trying to get any benefit from doing that? He's like, yeah, actually I was. You're like, actually,
like the
actually,
recognition.
I was. Actually, I
Yeah,
kinda was.
if nothing else, like taking that recognition from him and placing it on myself.
And did that happen? Did anybody like do anything for you? Give you anything? Put you at a better seat in a restaurant?
No.
There you go. Not saying it's not, it in no way is that. It's not uncommon,
Mhm.
and it is in the same category. I think that what I look at more often is this firsthand experience or this firsthand knowledge I've also had people come in who, it's amazing when you think about it, such the difference in what someone might accomplish and what someone might do. Like I had a patient come in years ago who was working in a local factory, just 7 days a week, working, lots of hours, menial job, menial task, came in, was sick, and wanted to let me know that what was wrong with them. And because they would know because their sister's a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you talk to your sister and explain your symptoms to your sister?
Yeah.
No. Okay, well then what exactly does the fact that your sister's a doctor have to do with anything when you haven't even told me what your symptoms are, but you are insisting that this is what's wrong with you and this is the treatment you need, even though you didn't talk to your sister and explain the symptoms, and you haven't explained them to me yet, but you're coming in and telling me exactly what the treatment is for your perceived situation based on the fact that your sister's a doctor and you work in a factory in a menial job. You're not even like a supervisor or anything. I don't understand that. I don't understand that line of thinking.
Do you think it's because they think they would get better treatment by saying their sister's a doctor?
Yeah, I do believe, or you might be able to talk to them so they could understand your diagnosis or whatever a little bit better.
That's not true though. It doesn't translate that way.
No, that doesn't.
Just because you're sibling doesn't mean that you're going to understand what I'm telling you.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. There's not some sort of a mind meld between the two of you where all of a sudden you're going to understand all the specifics of the science behind what's wrong with you just because your sister's a doctor. That doesn't makes no sense.
My brother's a mechanic, and then you explain to me my car situation like you would explain it to my brother who's a mechanic. That doesn't really, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That doesn't translate.
You have a brother that I don't know about?
I do. I just was saying it as an example.
I think you were using a specific example because Ron's son is studying mechanics.
I was.
With the Rons. I think that's actually.
Did you get it?
But Ron's didn't get it.
Ron didn't get it.
I'm not letting shit get to me, but I understand that. No, I understand that.
You know everything about the law because your brother's a cop. You yourself have no experience with the law or law enforcement, but you want everybody to know that and that you know everything about the law because of that.
Basically name dropping.
Or maybe
that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, name dropping. Like
you identify with it.
It's knowing somebody that's really famous and you want the same. I understand where Tremonti is coming from. You want the same recognition for their accomplishments, or at least a little bit of saying, oh, you know him. That's so awesome. Now talk to me about you.
So, no, I don't want.
Nobody wants to hear about. They always want to talk about themselves. They don't really care. They don't want you to talk about you. They want to talk about themselves. Everybody's a one-upper.
That's what I just said. Let me. So Tremonti knows this person by association, like 6 separations of removed or whatever it is. So tell me about yourself, Tremonti. Now, sort of like how he got to work with Ricky Dillard, right?
I didn't get to work with Ricky Dillard.
Did you not even listen to that podcast? He never said that he worked with Ricky Dillard. He never
by
said
association,
that.
He did.
Oh man!
And it's probably you remember it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He doesn't remember it accurately, for sure.
The name, at least.
Well,
yeah.
So Beaveman, did you say why you think people do such things?
I think it's a power trip. I think that they want to dictate their own treatment to you. This is no lie. I think that people should just give their information to their provider so the provider can say, okay, this is the most common thing that this would be. This is maybe the test that I have to do. This is what and then do their exam and then talk with the person. See, you can't just have somebody come in and say, this is what's wrong with me. I'm like, no, can I get some information so I can actually accurately diagnose what is going on with you? But that's not how it is. People would just come in and like, this is what it is. I've had a person come into me. This is not a lie. This is the truth. I had a person come into me and explain to me how they were so sure there was something wrong with their prostate. This was a woman.
All right.
Women don't have prostates. So
What
this
if they're
shit,
transgender?
No, she just Googled shit.
Oh,
You're-
okay.
that's-
Okay. Anyway, continue. He's not going to continue.
Ron's is getting like the look of disdain.
I can't because I've got.
why would I
about-
tell that story if the person was a trans female,
transgender.
Rens?
I don't know. I didn't know where you were going with
Because-
the story.
Because it was an absurd story. Like if it was like, oh, that would be like a good story. Like, oh, he did figure out what was wrong with her, him. But this is an idiot who Googled something and came up with a diagnosis that clearly didn't even fit the situation.
You see, yeah, okay, I understand.
I was trying to give what I was trying to do was give an extreme example so that the listeners and my squad would understand what the fuck I was talking about. But because I gave an extreme example, it still went way the fuck over somebody's head.
No, it didn't. I was
It
busting.
did.
You just wanted to.
No,
you just wanted
I
to
was
have a
busting his
report
ass
for
on
being an
that. I
asshole.
shouldn't have said
Why
shit.
is it? Why don't you just understand what's saying? You always, whenever you try to be clever, you're just being an ass.
Actually,
like,
when I
that's-
try to be clever, you cut me off at the pass. You won't let me be clever, right? So I won't try to be clever. I'll just be me.
No,
Although-
it just seemed like I was trying to give the most extreme example so that I could paint a picture so that you guys could understand what I was saying. Instead, you're like, what if they're trans?
Okay, fair
I don't
enough.
even know if you know what that means.
I'm not. You
Quite
know what?
honestly. I mean,
Excuse me.
you just learned that gays could have children.
Did not. I did not. Let's not go there either. Let's not bring up the past about that podcast. All
But
right?
now he can say, I know someone who's gay
And has a child.
and has a
Oh,
child.
Tremonti, don't even. Wow,
And-
Tremonti,
And he's black.
wow.
Like a triple
Wow.
threat right
Yeah,
there.
Threat. And on top of that, Tremonti brings out that meanness that we've been so dire to see.
Hey, Ron.
Okay,
So,
so I
yes,
have
sir.
something. I have
Oh, go
something on
ahead.
the
No,
flip
please go.
side. I have
Go
something I think possible on the flip side. So thinking about religion, there are moments when someone can say, come to the church and say, I need help with this, and then just say that they say, I have cancer. The pastor will say something like, oh, let's pray for you, right? Or let's anoint your body with oil or this and the other. When in
Taking
some
that in a disturbed sexual way. He said, ooh. No, freaking disturbed.
but it's like sometimes it's like as though like they know what the person needs when it's like actually no, you need to take yourself to a doctor and be properly examined because I'm not a doctor or one who knows science or the body works, but yet they choose to take this route as if they know what the individual needs when actually they don't.
yeah, that's frightening.
Isn't that
Yeah.
what Christian Science is based on? Prayer
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
medical?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, frightening. It is frightening.
It is. It is.
I've had Christian Scientist patients in the past. It is scary.
Is it?
And they're not the only ones. I mean, they're not the only ones. There's lots of different religions that, maybe they don't want this or they don't want that or they don't want blood transfusions or they want to come to you and get a diagnosis, but they don't want any Western medicine done. And you're like,
Yeah.
ooh, you came to the wrong person because that's kind of what I do. It's kind of the thing,
And
Yeah,
I guess
that's-
maybe
that's-
that's if what you believe, but then don't come to the doctor and ask for that information. I guess if you, why would you even want to know then?
That's a good point.
But then this is something that I especially like when it comes to medicine and religion, I really don't understand it. And I feel like we may have mentioned this once before in a podcast. When you take your car to the mechanic, you don't necessarily get their information and walk out and say, oh, I'm not going to do what they say and just keep driving your car and expecting it to work. No,
Ron
you are
does. He
going
wants
to-
a second opinion.
I would. No. I grew up with Backstreet Mechanics, for a little backstory. And
Are they
some
like
of
the
these
Backstreet
guys,
Boys?
yeah,
Like
No,
some
they're
sort of a
backdoor
quartet?
mechanics.
Yeah, backdoor
Ooh.
mechanics. Someone's been going into certain collections, but these guys come in and they're like, "Oh, you don't need that. You can just splice this wire and run it through here, and then, it'll
Electrocute
work for."
yourself, and then your car won't start.
Exactly. So,
But no, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, Tremonti. You're saying, why would you take the word of this person but not the word of this person when it comes to your own personal body? And I think that's because part of it is people don't want to hear what you have to say when it's bad news. Part of it is this mentality now that medicine has sort of let people down, so we're not going to listen to them. We're smarter than them because we have Google. And there's so many other options out there for stuff. A lot of patients I see over the years have told me, they'll come in with a complaint and I'm like, oh, well, have you done anything for treatment so far? It's a common question we ask. It's part of the assessment is, have you done anything at home for treatment for this complaint that you have? And a lot of people say, well, I've been taking I've been using essential oils, and I've been taking this homeopathic remedy, and then, of course, the next question I ask is, well, have those things helped? That's part of the assessment also. And they're like, well, no. Okay, well, here's my prescribed treatment. Oh, I think I'll stick with what I've been doing. Like, all right,
Then why do you even ask?
I ask.
maybe they wanted a second opinion from you.
But why do you need
Well, they
that
just said it
second
wasn't working.
opinion if you're not gonna take it?
Right.
Honestly, I can't get into the mindsets of someone like that. I really can't. Right. And I think
So if you're one of those people, when you want that second opinion, what do you do with it? If it's not the answer that you want, then you don't take it, because that's what 90% of the world does. Like, hey, I'm a big fat ass and I need to lose some weight, and then you go to the doctor and they tell you exactly what you need to do, or you see the nutritionist and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. So why do you even ask? Or
maybe it's because it's not the answer they wanted to hear.
that's
Or
exactly
maybe-
what we just said.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
before we get too far
if-
into this, go ahead, Tremonti. Sorry.
If someone of the expertise is giving you their advice, as it's been said, what is the need to go and seek other counsel? For example, before I go to the doctor, I call my doctor friend. I name drop all the time, and I consult with them before I go to the doctor. And because he's not my doctor, he can't necessarily prescribe anything to me, but says this is what you need to do. And if he says you can go over the counter and get this, then that's what I do. I don't necessarily say, oh, well, I'm not going to go ask someone else what they think I should do. And I have someone who is an expertise in that area, take their counsel. And the thing is, if you trust that person, then you should be able to receive what it is that they're saying. If you have to go get a second opinion, then you need to consult with yourself and find somebody else, because if you got to shop around, then obviously you don't trust the person who is giving you advice.
So
I got two comments for that.
Okay.
Actually, it might be more than them. I have a couple comments for that. One, I don't know that you should listen to this person in the first place because they're not a real doctor, according to Michigan. Second of all, do you think that sometimes you ask this person questions to reinforce your own opinion as further ammunition, if you will, for making your case for what you plan to do with somebody who you used to be involved with?
No, because if I don't go directly to them, then I'm going to go and do things like Google stuff, and then who knows what information I am getting.
And back to what I said, I think last podcast or when we were off the air, is has WebMD or Google hurt the medical profession with this?
That's a good question.
We're all incompetent in some way. We're all not smart, but we want to seem smart. And has Google or WebMD hurt that when getting a proper diagnosis?
Yes.
Okay, I was hoping to hear from the Beaveman on that.
Well, let me first of all say that I am not an expert. I do not consider myself super intelligent, but I will answer that question for you in this way. I don't have a problem with people using Google and WebMD. Let me tell you why. First of all, that shows that they are interested in what's going on with them. And I applaud people who take an interest in their health. So I don't dissuade people from doing that. What I do is I listen to what they have to say. And then I say, I'm glad that you're interested in your health. Let's try to figure out what's going on with you. And there's never a reason for you not to take an interest and look things up. Let's get the information that you have so that I can use my knowledge base and come up with a diagnosis of what is most likely going on with you. It's most likely not prostate cancer if you're a female with no prostate.
Okay.
But I think that only applies to those individuals who may research information and then they come and consult with an actual physician or a doctor. And I don't know if many people actually do that follow-up.
That's true too. I'm sure that's it. Yeah, that when you get them, it's been months and this has been going on, and then next thing you know, they've got stage 4 cancer and they're going to die. Yeah, that does happen. Yeah, it's a hard thing to deal with, but it happens. I'll give you a good example. And he still hasn't texted me back. One of my family members calls me. We have a nice conversation. We don't talk that often, but we talk probably about maybe once a month on the phone. And as I'm getting off the phone with him, he says, "Hey, by the way, I had some questions. You have, did you say that you have high cholesterol or high blood pressure?" And I was like, "Well, I have minimally high cholesterol, but and to appease my doctor for my very low cholesterol, I said I would take some cholesterol medication." And he said, "Oh, okay, I couldn't remember." He's like, "Because, I was wondering." I'm like, "Why? Are you having problems with your heart?" And he said, "Well," so he goes on to tell me a story of how his blood pressure's been pretty high, 160s for the top number, over 100 on the bottom number, which is not normal. And also that he's been having some weird sensations in his chest to include heart racing, pounding, and like some discomfort in his chest. That's been going on for weeks. And instead of taking my advice, which is obviously what he wanted in the first place, he kept making excuses about why this could be happening and why that could be happening, instead of listening to what I had to say. And finally, I just had to say, clearly, not in a mean way, I just said, "You're not really listening to me as a nurse practitioner. So I'm going to try as your brother and tell you that it's very possible this is what could be wrong with you. You're making excuses on why you're having these symptoms of what it could be, quote, that has to do with just the situation that you're in, as opposed to something actually being wrong with your heart and your blood vessels. And I am here to tell you that there's a good possibility that you could be out with your family and drop dead from sudden cardiac death."
Wow. I've had something similar of the situation in my field, but not quite that extreme.
It had to do with the computer. There was something.
Fueling?
There was
Actually,
some sort of
it did.
fueling issue or a computer issue.
It did. One of my brothers called me up and saying, "Hey, I've got a problem." I'm like, "Okay."
Computer's
what-"
crashing, Ron.
Yeah, exactly.
Clear.
It was actually. He says, I said, "What do you need me to do?" He says, "Could you tell me how to talk me through this?" Right. And I said, "Okay, we're going to do that." And he started
down the power button.
Well, okay, that was one option. I
Control Alt Delete.
Yeah. And he started screaming and yelling, right? "That's not how I want it done." I said, "Listen," and I spoke calmly. I said, "When you're ready, because you came to me, we're going to do things my way. You can go to a store, you can do whatever you need to. But if you want my advice, we're doing things my way to solve the situation, right? I don't care who you go to, but don't call me again unless you're willing to do exactly as I need you to do," right? And I hung up. Lo and behold, he calls back. "All right, what do you want me to do?" And we discussed the problem. I said, "Do it this way, and this way." Yeah. And siblings are going to fight. They're going to argue. They're going to bitch back and forth. I know that.
I think you sold yourself short. That situation is exactly as dangerous as the one I just described.
No, well, it could have been, right? And I said, and I heard it back.
I mean, we're talking sudden death of a computer, right?
Yeah, we are. And I heard it back through my my mom, is that my brother said, "Wow, Ron is actually smart. He knows what he's talking about," right? And not that I didn't. There were other avenues that he could have taken. I was just one that he took, and this is how I would have solved the problem. And
Well,
I did.
see, that's the difference between you and me, is that I won't ever hear those words from my mother.
No, but it was from my brother. My brother would never say that. He actually told my mom that, but he didn't say that.
I know. That's still what I was saying.
No, I understand.
Even if my brother did call my mother and told her that, I still wouldn't never hear it from my mother. You see, here's the dynamic. Let me explain it to you. My older brother is a Baptist minister. You know, so you should be proud of that. I think that I'm proud of him for doing that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I am a family nurse practitioner, and my little brother works for a TV station. Now, we are all failures, except for, I think my little brother is probably not a failure. My older brother is a failure because he's not a Catholic priest. And I'm a failure. And I'm a failure because I'm not a MD or a DO.
Beaveman, may I ask what your parents achieve as far as that career? Granted, they may not be in those careers now.
My dad was an electrician, and my mom worked at J.C. Penney's as a, I don't know what do you call them, sales associate.
Okay.
Really?
Yes. I know I fell very far short of their expectations. Yes. I know that's why you have that shocked look on your face.
Growing up, did they give you guys this idea of what they wanted you to be?
No, they did
Garbage
tell me
man.
what they did tell me what
Garbage
I
man.
they did tell me what I was at risk of becoming, but they
Duck
didn't
penis
say.
researcher.
And what was
Which
that?
would not be a horrible field, I don't think.
What
They very frequently said to me that I would most likely grow up to be a janitor, which I don't have a problem with. I actually aspired to be one because I think I would really enjoy it. I like mopping. I'm very good with a buffer. I love to, if there was a long hallway, I would, like in schools, I think I would do a
buff
very
the
good
shit out of that.
You know what? You know what? Everybody, and Ron knows this, I'm assuming, is that you all think that buffing's easy. The funniest thing you can ever watch is the first time somebody tries to use a buffer. It is fucking hilarious.
It's probably like the equivalent of using a rototiller.
No,
I can
it is
imagine.
not.
No.
It is not.
Yeah.
It is literally called fighting the buffer or wrestling the buffer for the first time.
Do you guys
hilarious.
The episode of Fresh Prince when they were buffing the floors?
Yes.
That's what I think of. I could never do that.
And if you're in the military, that's where you first learn how to use a buffer if you've never used one, because you're usually buffing some floors.
Yeah, it's very satisfying. Not that first time. The first time's hilarious. The first time is hilarious till you really figure it out. But yeah, you should YouTube. I'm sure there's YouTube videos of first time use of a buffer. There's got to be.
Yes.
Or you learn how to sit and spin on them like a merry-go-round or something.
Well, we didn't do that. We did sit on it to add additional weight for stripping the floors. Yeah, we did not. We did not.
Ron likes to sit and spin.
Sit and spin.
They do in the airport.
You know, I was wondering if anybody was going to make that
no,
connection.
That's a sexual.
We all got it. We all got it.
I was just going to let that die.
We definitely did that
Are we
connection.
are we googling sit and spin right now?
No,
we're not.
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Beaveman's still got a screen share up, and it's really cool because we're seeing really what he does during the podcast.
So before we wrap it up here, I did want to say a couple things that honestly, yes, I do know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is. I'm going to give a quick example of it so that actually what we know. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is, like I said, you are under the assumption that you know more about a subject with very little knowledge of that subject in the first place. The one I'm going to use is climate change. Somebody will read one or two articles, or maybe not even that, maybe just read some headlines or talk with some friends and decide that climate change doesn't exist, and they're smarter than everybody, and they will go out of their way to say that climatologists don't know what the fuck they're talking about, even though they've spent their whole academic career and professional career trying to understand climate change, and they're basing all of their knowledge and their research on the people that came before them and trends and what's going on with the climate and weather, two different things. You can ask my daughter that, and she knows the difference between the two. And one of the common arguments you'll hear from people that climate change doesn't exist is that it's still fucking cold in the winter. You're like, yes, it is, but it is also globally warmer, and we're losing, ice caps. So clearly, it does exist, and it's not so much. It shouldn't even be an argument that it exists. Clearly, it exists. What's causing it? How can we reverse it? But you have people. I was working far up north, and it was a hot day, and
in August.
I don't know if it was August or not. Can't remember. It might have been July. And one of the workers came in, and his job at this particular site, it was at an occupational clinic on site, and his job was to go to all of the outbuildings and empty the garbage. He came in to tell me that climate change was fake.
Like he just came in to tell you that?
No, he came in just to say hi and stuff, and we were just casually talking, and he just brought up we were talking about how it was hot, and he's like, yeah, that whole climate change, he's like, it's such bullshit. It's so fake. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And he obviously wanted me to engage in conversation about it, but I didn't, because why would I engage in conversation about climate change being fake when it clearly isn't? And my knowledge of climate change is so minimal, yet I'm being told by the person who goes from building to building to take out the garbage that he knows more than a climatologist does, and that climate change is fake.
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted to either argue with you or
I agree that
you validate his opinion.
I did not.
Well,
so
you were very not satisfying for him then. That conversation was not what he wanted at all.
So with this Dunning-Kruger effect, do you find more people tend to start more arguments in order to have their opinion validated?
Of course. I look at Facebook. That was my example. Is everybody, you can find people to agree with you. You know who loves this whole idea of arguing or getting pissed off about this sort of stuff is the Swan.
I do.
She loves that. And to me, I'm like, what I do is I say, why do you concern yourself with that stuff? Because you're getting worked up about it. I would rather not get worked up about something. I got enough. I have enough stress. I have enough stress in my life without looking at somebody and saying, well, this person's a fucking moron. Let me comment on how they're a fucking moron and let me engage in an argument with them. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather do something else. Like look and see how inferior my penis is when you compare it to a goose's. Oh my God, that's fucking average is 9 inches, people.
It's like, okay, so it's for entertainment. I don't engage in it. I just read it. Like, for example, our subdivision has like a Facebook page, and these people on here are so fucking dumb. Like, let me just give you an example from yesterday. We talk about poop a lot on the subdivision website, which I think is crazy, but okay.
Okay.
Just a heads up. We found some very large and different looking poop in our front yard today. After some investigation, we think it was from a coyote. It also looks like it may be from a large raccoon. Keep an eye out on your cats and small dogs, people. So, like, heads up, poop. Okay. So then people comment it. Fox poop is very different as well. Coyotes were going crazy a couple nights ago. Woke me up in the middle of the night. They sounded really close, possibly our backyard. Coyotes have been in and out of the subdivision differently. Also, different variety of hawks have been in our area lately. Hawks are a threat to our small dogs, as well as other critters. Hey, y'all. Coyote feces would have a bunch of hair in it from small cats and dogs and or rabbits from the hood. Yikes, this is scary. Like, really? Why are we talking about poop? Like, and who gives a shit?
Well, I can see where they were leading with that, but I won't go into detail with what I feel about that. However, do you feel that when you're doing the Dunning-Kruger effect here, that you get sick and tired of people pretending to be the experts, that you just want to lash out at them, tell them to shut the fuck up? It's dead silence there. Do you?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that I understand what the Dunning-Kruger effect is, and that I'm not sure Ron's does, because he seems to name everything the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Well, no, I understand.
The other thing is this. is that everybody suffers from the Dunning-Kruger effect. We all do. We all are arrogant
agree.
humans. We
I
are
agree.
all arrogant humans, and we all think that we know stuff about other things. For me, it's a matter of maturation as time goes by, where 10 years ago, 5 years ago, shit, maybe even 3 years ago, I would have argued about everything. At this point in my life, why argue? I don't even argue with patients anymore about how, this isn't right, that's not right, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why? What's the point? It's okay, well, then, if you're going to argue with me about stuff, in my own head, I'm like, well, why are you asking me for stuff? But there's no point in arguing about stuff. Having a fun argument's one thing, or talking with a swan about, oh yeah, that's pretty stupid. But I'm not going to engage that person in an argument. When, I've got somebody who's always talking about the health benefits of this or that, but they're constantly ingesting chemicals and trying to sell these chemicals to everybody else and saying that they're so healthy. I'm like, well, if you're so healthy, why aren't you eating whole foods instead of ingesting fucking chemicals that you don't even know what's in them? Why engage in that stuff? Or why let it get to you like the swan does? Everything gets to her. And as far as the whole poop thing, she told me that, and I started laughing. And the first thing I said, well, first of all, coyote poop is about the same size as most small dogs, and it usually has bones and hair in it from the stuff that they've eaten. So that's pretty easy to figure out. And raccoon poop is very distinct. It usually has a bunch of berries in it, and it's not super well formed. So most likely the poop that they're seeing is dog poop.
I'm going to start pooping on people's lawns just for fun.
Tremonti, we haven't heard from you in a while. What's your take on this? Do you know your poop?
I agree. I do know my poop. I agree with the Beaveman. There's so many other things to consume your time and nothing else your energy with. I don't waste my time like really getting upset by things that are in some ways like pointless. Like I see people who get like road rage and they're just like yelling and cussing because somebody cut them off, and I'm just like, yo, just chill out. You're good, they're good, just keep going. But you're yelling and cussing, you want to get out your car and you want to fight while you're at the light and do this, that, and the other. Why get yourself worked up to that point?
Because they should not be on the same road as you. The road is yours.
Ron's got road
Black
rage.
cars matter.
Oh,
I think
good
that-
Lord.
I don't.
I think that it's more fun. For me, it's more fun instead of arguing about these things. It's more important to find people who are like-minded as you, and then you can vent to each other about these sort of things without having to engage with people who are going to argue with you. I know who's going to be of the similar mind frame as me because I've known them for years. So it's not like I'm going to go up to Tremonti and start telling him how great I think Trump is. That's never going to happen. That's not going to happen. I'm never going to go up to, I'm never going to do anything like that because I know the people that I know. I only know a few people, and the people that I know, I'm pretty sure what I can vent to them about, and they're not going to argue with me about it. They're going to agree with me, and instead of arguing with other people, we're going to burn off that steam together.
Right.
Which is way more fun. You're still yelling and getting crazy and getting emotional, but you're yelling and crazy and getting
Different type of
emotional
energy.
with somebody who's got the same mindset as you.
Yep.
And that is way more therapeutic than engaging with assholes. Because honestly, if I had to engage, this is no lie, if I had to engage with an asshole, I would get so fucking ramped up that more than likely I'm going to punch that person.
You're gonna
That's
punch
the
an
truth.
asshole.
Yeah.
I think
So-
we've all got. I agree with that.
I mean, have you ever been hit in the
That's
asshole,
called,
Tremonti?
that's called fisting. No, I have not.
Whoa!
I took a knee to the asshole once. That fucking
Wow!
hurts. So yeah, when you talk about punching somebody in the asshole, that ain't no joke, man.
Ooh.
Wow! Fishing in a knee—that's some wild
I didn't
stuff.
say fisting is not what I said.
It's what Tremonti said.
Punched. I said punched.
No, I've got a friend right now that likes to.
No, come on.
No, I've
Come on, let's tell the truth.
I've got a friend right now that likes to
Come
be
on.
into arguments, and after reading about this effect, I'm like, holy shit! You think you're an expert on this without doing the research, without knowing anything about it. You're just going on what someone fed you or what you believe is right. Nope, I'm not going to fall for the argument. And
So
they'll
are those
literally.
people called shithouse lawyers.
What's that?
Is that true?
What's that?
Oh, that's a term that we use.
For people who think they know things about the subject when they clearly don't, they're called shithouse lawyers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's
I mean,
that's what
that's what we call
them. That's
them.
what we call them in the Army. We always call them shithouse lawyers.
Oh, barracks lawyers is what we call them. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Barracks lawyers, that doesn't even sound nearly as good as shithouse lawyers.
Yeah, shithouse lawyers are really good.
yeah. Right. But it's like when this person who came in and started spouting a fact, and I'm like, okay, did you back it up? Can you? And I said, if you prove
Back that ass up.
yeah, could you back that ass up? And I said, if it turns out that you're right, I'll say you're right. You've proven me wrong. I'm willing to concede and say you're right.
The problem was that it really wasn't anything that Ron should have been arguing about. All the person said was, you should pull your pants down before you shit. For some reason, Ron's decided he needed some proof.
He
Where do
needed
you
a second
come up with-
opinion.
Yeah, where do you come up with that? I was going to say shit, but then again, well, because he pulled down his pants. But where do you come up with this stuff? Really, I have a valid point here, and I'm agreeing with you and everything. You're
That
like,
is a valid.
that's not good. That's
is
not
valid.
good.
You don't need a second opinion, Ron. You should pull your pants down before you shit.
What if you're wearing Depends?
Well, you still should pull him down. If you have the cognitive thought that you have to poo, you should try to at least not do it in your pants.
Well, that all depends as well, then.
Well, maybe you're into that.
There we
kind
go.
of thing.
Tremonde got it. Tremonde. Yeah, there's a
We got it. It's a beaten to death joke, but we got it. We got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's time to wrap it up because
Well, we got 5 minutes left.
Oh, we don't. The Tremonde's got a date with Rona, and it is the daughter's birthday, and
Happy birthday to her.
So, unfortunately, she's no longer a tiny baby, which
Oh,
is
wow.
very sad.
So what are you doing to celebrate her birthday?
Podcasting. That's what we're doing right now. No, I'm just kidding.
So
She was
why
supposed to
isn't
have
she-
practice. She was
Oh.
supposed to have practice, but it got canceled. So
I was going to
We're
say,
gonna
why
hang
isn't
out.
she on the
we are going
podcast?
to force her to hang out with us. That is the plan.
Yes.
Wow.
Because she never hangs out with us.
She's
You
too
know,
cool for us.
too cool. And then before I go, let me go ahead and do my advertisement. Right. Coffee. Scars and Stripes Coffee empowers veterans to start their own e-commerce business. Every product sold empowers a veteran through commission or performance-based bonus, and members of this podcast have enjoyed Scars and Stripes Coffee, and you should too. When
Only
I say
certain members.
I
not
said members of.
members of.
Purchasing coffee and merchandise directly supports veteran entrepreneurs like friend of the show, Carrie, not to be confused with Ron's Carrie.
Sure.
And her personal mission is to spread veteran suicide awareness so that America can see that veterans need their help now more than ever. And I believe this is Suicide Awareness Month.
It might be. I'm not aware of it.
Yeah,
And that was no pun or joke involved in there.
That was why I said
That
it
was
most likely. That's
not
probably
good.
why I said it. So she wants people to know that this is much bigger than a cup of coffee, and buying a couple bags of coffee can save lives. So check it out, buy some coffee and merch, support awareness of veteran suicide. And if there's veterans listening, it isn't just our combat veterans that suffer. Keep that in mind, people. It's estimated that 22 veterans a day take their own life. I will say this, the Military Veterans Crisis Line is not easy to remember. It is 1-800-273-8255 and then press 1. Apparently, you just have to press an option instead of just dialing a fucking number. Way to make it complicated.
It is National Suicide Prevention Week. Reach out if you know somebody that needs an ear. I
Good
personally.
Lord, that's what we just said, you retard.
Would you let me fucking finish? What did you
Sure,
overtake
can
the
I-
Beaveman
Yeah,
spot?
No, by the
I-
time I'm done with this, you're gonna call that number Ron's.
Is it time for me? Can I finish
hell.
the advertisement before you jump in? You can find her products on Facebook and Instagram at www.facebook.com/Carrie's Brew. That's Carrie Scars and Stripe. And you can also find her at Instagram at Carrie's_brew. And now go ahead, Rons, now that I'm done with that brief
I was going to
advertisement.
say to all my military brethren out there, if you ever need an ear, you know how to contact me. And
Do
I'm-
they? How's
Yeah,
that?
they do. I'm on Facebook under my real name, which I don't want to announce, but also
You know how
He's
to contact
retarded.
them.
You just put it out there
you
for
said-
contact
said-
me. If anybody wants to reach out and contact me, but I'm not going to give you any
I was going to
information.
fucking finish it up on through our Facebook website, right? We are willing to listen, and we can put you in. I'll put a link for the national hotline. I mean, because it's been cut and pasted so many times that by
what is the contact, Ron? Are you gonna fucking say that? You just keep saying you can contact us. Where can they contact us, Ron?
on Facebook.
How?
Hell, if you got a computer, you should know how to do it at this point in life.
You're not even giving them our website, you dumb shit.
You didn't. Oh, okay.
Slaptailnation.com if you want to check out our website, and you can find us on Facebook by searching the Slaptail Squad.
Yeah,
That was really hard to do.
I was gonna get there, but it's sort of like that annoying.
Man. Seriously, just spit it the fuck out.
It's sort of like that annoying 3-year-old in the back of the chair, in the back of the car, yelling, "Are we there yet?"
And of course, check out the home of the Silkies and Bikinis, the Beaveman and the Swan. We're at SungaLife.com, another veteran-owned business started by a Navy SEAL. And in case you all wondered, I'm losing my browning time. Today it was fucking cold. And I didn't get to lay out in the backyard and get brown. Because when the skies are out, my thighs are out. And if you're the Swan, sun's out, buns out. And no, we don't get paid by either one of them or get any discounts or anything. They're just two companies that we are trying to support and that we like. And no, they did not ask me. Single Life did not ask me to promote their product. I just like it, my God.
I just like it because they're comfy. It's probably one of the most comfy bikinis that I've owned. And the shorts are comfy too. I like them. They're silky.
Oh, great.
But if they do listen to this podcast, by gosh, can you guys send a pair to Tremonde, Ron's, and Ricker so they can try and so that they can live the silky life like me and the Swan. They are very nice. They're very nice. It's very nice. That was very nice.
Shout out to Squeezy Snot. Hopefully they're listening. Eventually, we'd like to get them on our podcast.
They aren't.
Well, we hopefully. And
that's it. All right.
That's it. Yeah.
Fuckers. Mooch fuckos. Mooch fuck sticks.
From the Rons. Hey.
You don't have to say it, man. You just say whatever. I don't care.
Goodbye, fans. All one of you.
All one of you.
I'm sure I have at least one fan.
You have many. And Tremonde, you got the last word in. What is it?
Deuces.